Lost World Minute, minute by minute podcast reviewing the 1997 sequel to Jurassic Park, 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And through a heavy cold, we are going to try and get to minute 35 today. Dave, how you going?
Good. Milan Nevada just contacted me the other day on Sunday and told me that my T-Rex maquette is just about finished and he's working on the base. And he hopes to be finished sometime this week.
Yes, very nice. Seen some pictures of it coming up and coming along nicely, so cannot wait for a full gallery of it once you get it in hand.
Yeah, I mean, not to say anything bad about Milan, he's no photographer, but he can do some wicked things with airbrush.
Yeah.
So of course I'll post some pictures up on our Facebook page and maybe on Instagram as well.
Yep.
What is it? What? What's going on? Information, please, what?
You're much happier not knowing.
Alright, before we get into today's minutes, we're going to talk briefly, it might not be too brief, about the Lost World Game Boy game. David, did you have a Game Boy when you were younger?
I did. It was electric yellow with Pikachu stickers all over it.
I had one of the...
I had the Game Boy Color, so I was a bit too young for original, but I had the Game Boy Color. It was like an electric yellow with Pokemon stickers. It had a Pikachu sticker right there on the front of it.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was old enough to have one of the larger grey versions. Used to take it with me everywhere. Keeping batteries up till it was a pain, but...
Yeah. The Game Boy Color was put in the back pocket of your pants, you know?
Yep.
Just take it out on a long road trip and just play games.
Yeah, well, ours, we took on a road trip and trying to get out of a hotel in a hurry one morning. While it was raining, we dropped it. And we got 17 horizontal yellow lines across the screen, which made it very hard to play games after that. But The Lost World was a film I did see when it came out, and the game was definitely something I wanted to get when it came out. Released in August of '97. It was made for the original Game Boy. There wasn't a colour version or anything. And it was sort of very loosely based off the novel over the film. But it resembled more of Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues, which I'm not familiar with. And the basic plot was that Biosyn had taken control of Sauna. And InGen had sent Dr. Alan Grant in there to try and regain control. Which would sound a little bit interesting. It might be something we get hints of again later on for Jurassic Park 3 with some of the comic stuff tied into that. But there's you got several environments from labs to jungles that you play through. Now I had a bit of a play of it last weekend. You got 8 levels, and a number of them you got to pick up sort of dinosaur eggs, computer disks, DNA samples, the regular sort of thing you'll go through and find to finish a level. Most of it's running and jumping, climbing through large platform type levels. And you've got a few dinosaurs, I wouldn't say as enemies, just as to come across and try and avoid, which is the T-Rex, the Raptor, the Compy and the Stegosaur are all animals you encounter in the film, in the game. And,
well, there's all this kind of sprite animation too. They're all 2D blocky, like 64-bit animation.
Yeah, yep. And your main defense is either kicking or jumping over animals. Yeah. You do get a pistol and a grenade launcher later on in the game, which blowing up animals okay if that's your thing. It was probably that was just interesting. Around the same time, I think Dino Crisis or Turok would have been out as well. So there were better games you could go out and shoot dinosaurs if you wanted to. Yeah, so that was the game. It wasn't. I'd lost the. You get a like a DNA sequence code at the end of each level that I used to have written down but couldn't find anywhere. So trying to play from the start all the way through again after being an adult and grown up and not having the coordination's a bit hard, so I didn't get far. But that's the game. It's pretty cheap on eBay. If you want to go out and get it for your Game Boy. Game Boys are pretty cheap at the moment too, so... It's interesting, just reading the wiki here, that there's also one for Sega Game Gear, which I was not aware of, which I might have to go and search, because I've got a Game Gear.
My God, they are well organized. Those are some Major League toys.
Alright, ready to get into minute 35?
Sure.
Alright.
As we entered the 34th minute of The Lost World, InGen had arrived on Isla Sorna, and the roundup had begun. Roland Tembo had spotted a baby Pachycephalosaurus, and that was to be their first capture. As we enter the 35th minute, Roland flips through a set of data sheets trying to identify the small creature, but fails to pronounce it. In frustration, calls it the one with the flat spot, Friatuck. At 34 minutes and 11 seconds, we cut to a motorcycle riding beside a parasol office. The motorcycle picks up speed as it heads towards the tiny creature that's running amongst the herd. At 34 minutes and 28 seconds, the motorcycle rider negotiates, driving through the legs of a massive sauropod while still on the chase of the baby Pachycephalosaurus. At 34 minutes and 36 seconds, the Jeep pulls to a stop, and Robert Burke climbs out. As he climbs out of the Jeep, he explains to an offsider, Pachycephalosaurus, herbivore, late Cretaceous. At 34 minutes and 45 seconds, we get a shot of the Pachycephalosaurus surrounded by 2 motorcycles and 4 hunters, all holding snare-type poles, trying to capture the creature. At 34 minutes 51 seconds, Robert Burke continues. See that dome skull? 9 inches of solid bone. And as he ends the minute, he goes on to start to describe how the neck attaches at the bottom of the skull instead of the top of the head like other animals. And this ends the 35th minute of The Lost World.
Alright, starting off the minute, we didn't really talk much about, or we didn't really go through Roland's monologue, what he was actually saying in it. One thing, when he's not around, Dieter's in charge, which we haven't met this Dieter Stark character yet, so it's, if we'd got his introduction earlier in the film, it might have, but he wasn't named in the script anyway, so...
Yeah.
His fee, Ludlow can keep it. All he wants is the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs, a buck, male only. Or male buck only. Which he just says one of the Tyrannosaurs.
Yeah. So that would mean that there are multiple pair bonds or multiple Tyrannosaurs than just the 3 that we see in the movie?
Yeah, it's possible this baby isn't the first. I think the doe and buck that we see are the original parents. It's just a matter of how long in that 4 years it took them to hook up and nest.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we sort of get another one later on in Jurassic Park 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
Canon-wise, I think it's supposed to be 4 years later or 3 years later, so that certainly gives Junior time to grow up. Or it could have made...
Oh, it's not Junior, though. It's even Sam Winston Studios said when they did the reunion, they made a joke about, they said, it'd be nice if it was, but then they just went and said, no, it's probably just a rogue male.
Yeah, but it has to be... So
everybody kind of confused the joke, thinking they were being serious, and that's kind of what started. Reignited the baby T-Rex from the Lost World is the grown-up T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, and I think that's more also comes out of fans not wanting to see the T-Rex be overcome by the Spinosaur, which it happened. People get over it. This is the high heel debate all over again.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But I know it's been mentioned, I think it was in Trespasser, where they said there's 7.
Yeah, I think that is, they said there are 7 T-Rexes that they read originally. Which I do not see, even with a paddock as large as there was on Isla Nublar, I don't see them fitting 7 T-Rexes in there without them fighting each other for territory. Because these are big apex predators, and they have a large territory.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, I could understand if 7 have bred since the incident, but yeah, actually creating 7 to move into the park, it just it seems a bit overkill.
Yeah.
So yeah, we never quite get a count on that. What else?
Well, then people question that Roland wanted to hunt a buck, when the female T-Rexes are supposed to be larger than the male. But really, Roland is a big game hunter in Africa, so he's used to hunting big mammals like elephants and rhinos and stuff like that, where the male is the larger and more ornamented of the species. In fact, that is true. Not larger than in birds. The male is smaller, but they are ornamental. They are more ornamental.
Yeah, well, they got
more brightly colors and stuff, and that's something that Shane Mahan remarks in the making of when he considered doing the that they had to do males now to the females of all the animals they had in the first Jurassic Park. So they considered that males would be more brightly colored, more ornamented, and so you can see that in the T-Rex. The brow ridge and the nose is a bit tougher and bigger, and the colors are brighter and more colorful. And you can see that in the raptors when they talk about that they went for a Bengal tiger influence.
Yep.
With the raptors.
Yeah, they're definitely more for the courtship and that. A lot more coloured.
Mm-hmm. And they also discussed the idea of the males fighting each other for rights to mate, and so they gave the male kind of like gnarly scars all over its mouth.
Yep. Yep. All right. And coming off the last minute, we had Roland on the radio telling the cycles to break off a straggler from the herd and flush it to the right. Snaggers stay ready, because he said snaggers and not snagger, I think he's sort of just talking to, because all these vehicles have all got the, what would you call it? Well, it's like a snagger pole. It's like an animal control pole.
Yeah. They got those snagging poles, and I think that's what he's referring to, is the guys with the snagger poles.
Yeah, there's probably...
Not just the big vehicle with blow-ups.
Yeah. And then he pulls out the laminated A4 sheets with dinosaur info on them, which is some nice crash artwork.
Yeah. They use all original Crash Mark McCreary concept art in black and white there, but the pages themselves are in color. They got a blue InGen logo on there, and then they got red lines separating the image from the text there, and I'm not sure what the text says. I know there's a lot of various fan-made versions out there. I have one myself. I can post up a picture of it when this goes live.
Yeah, we'll post up an example of it. A lot of there's a big. The animal's name is in big red text across the middle, which I always thought was the Jurassic Park font, until I could actually stop and do some high HD screen caps. But yeah, as you said, blue InGen logo at the top center. It's got a barcode at the bottom, which makes sense as well.
Yep.
Especially when you've got all these people walking around in camp and that. If someone says, hey, go grab a compy or whatever else, I'm sure they had some sort of handheld scanner they could scan the barcode and it'd tell them exactly what animal it was. It'd also be helpful for shipping back to San Diego as well.
Yeah. Well, it also goes back into Ludlow's later statements that we get, and even what Hoskins says in Jurassic World, is the comparison of dinosaurs, of these InGen's dinosaurs to software, and that goes into the version numbers debate about how the version numbers that we get in the novel also exist in the filmverse.
Yep.
And that goes to explain the various differences that we get in dinosaur designs across the 3 original movies. And I think that the Jurassic World having their own, well, out goes as far as say versions. They have their own patented dinosaurs that they created the same way that InGen did. So I think that the version numbers ideas holds up pretty well in the films.
Yeah, and then anyone that's sort of not following the version numbers that we're talking about, sort of think of as Jurassic Park was ISO 1, or iOS 1, I should say. Each time they found DNA, they created better. They had new version numbers, and it's also, it leads to some of the speculation about why we've gotten different versions of the Raptors, for instance. Over the years, different version numbers that were created in that on sauna before being shipped to the island. But we got the T-Rex, as we said before. We got the pterosaur, Velociraptor, and Pachycephalosaurus all here as well in the data sheets. As you were saying before, they got some information there, the texts you can't read. I know yours and some of the other fan ones have got sort of where the animal's found, sort of its traits, its behaviours, that sort of stuff. Being sort of on sauna, you'd think it'd have a bit more specific what the animal is up to on the island, like where it's located, herd behaviour, or maybe something like that. But again, we haven't got an actual screen use copy to go off, so... And Roland starts to... we found his one weakness. He can't pronounce dinosaur names. Pachy, Fathead.
Oh, hell.
Fathead with the bald spot.
Fire Tuck.
Yep.
And so that's actually what I used when I wrote the article about that particular dinosaur individual. I just named him Fire Tuck because that's what Roland calls him. I found it affectionate.
Yeah, yep. Meanwhile, while he's... trying to work all this out in the background, he's got he's been followed by one of the hardtop jeeps, a Hummer, and 2 Unimogs. They're all sort of following along behind, not out doing their job. One of the Unimogs is a dual cab, which has got hunters all sitting in it, guns sticking out of the windows, which yeehaw America. And also some of them got their headlights on, some haven't. Interesting, the bullhorn next to Roland's side that's never used, and the camouflage netting zip tied to the roll bar next to him as well, which I wonder if production had some issues with that on the day coming off or something.
Yeah.
But we cut to a motorcycle racing off amongst the herd. The rider is seated way back on that seat.
I love that part of this beginning of the game trail, where we get to see them riding the motorcycle in between the Mamenchisaur's legs. Because we don't get that. That's something that happens in the novel where Sarah Harding does when she's trying to get the key to the cage from the raptors to get R.B. Benton out of the raptor cage.
Yep.
And so it's nice that they were able to include it here in the game trail scene.
Yeah, it's sort of, it could come off as a cheesy bit, just riding through the legs, but again, it is a callback to the novel.
Yeah.
It's also good here too. We get the return of the Gallimimus, the Mamenchisaur, as you said. Parasol officers running along here as well. Plus, I'm going to say they've reused the same little Pachy CG model because they're all about the same size, which is a lot smaller than what they grow to. So we don't see any parents. It just seems to be young ones running around.
It's possibly they got separated from the parents or something, you know?
Yeah, yep. Which is understandable. They would have run with the other animals, not knowing that the parents have gone off in a different direction, or they weren't next to their parents to start with.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting that in this scene, John Williams originally wrote a different piece of music to go with this scene. And he put it up when the minute goes live. And in the final movie, they just kind of use a variation of Malcolm's journey
Okay.
He kind of remixed together. Yeah. They kind of remixed the Malcolm's Journey and the Lost World theme together to the scene.
Yep. Well, yeah, speaking of noise too, we also get, there's a bit of a merging here. Motorcycle revs its engine and we get a animal bellowing, which it might actually be the animal bellowing and it sounds like a motorcycle revving its engine.
No, I think both happens.
Yeah. And we get the command jeep flying up the middle of the herd. Ludlow slowly lifted in the camo net to see at the front of the jeep in awe on his face. And we got while we're watching the rider ride through the animal's legs, you can actually still see the Pachy that he's chasing. It's running off to the side. And the bike rider's...
That's kind of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, he's in pursuit of it. And the CG looks great. This is bright open sunshine.
Yeah, really.
You got the dust. You got the dust coming up as well, which is just makes it so much better.
Well, Janusz Kaminski said when he wanted to do the cinematography, he wanted to do a lot of stuff in silhouette, and as he said, we've already shown the dinosaurs. Now we got to show what we can do with them.
Yeah.
So they're kind of showing the dinosaurs in more natural environments and more. They're running. They're riling up the dust. They're getting covered in dust. They're being dinosaurs, and they're just reacting to the environment around them and the humans around them.
Yeah.
So they're not really so much as being shown off as they're just being shown being there.
Yep. We get Ludlow laughs and claps his hands. I think he's just excited to see it all there. I think he's starting to count the dollar signs. Then we get a open top Jeep pull to a stop, and our introduction to Robert Burke, and the science team, which is, I'm guessing if he's riding with Burke, they're sort of offsiders, whether they're students or other researchers from InGen. I don't think they're actually ever named or in the credits, so we don't really know there.
No, he's probably just some research assistant or something.
Yeah. This Jeep's got sort of the gull wing barred door on it as well.
Yeah.
Walks over Pachycephalosaurus, dangerous, no herbivore, late Cretaceous. And we get to see the Pachy sort of running around between the three hunters with the snare poles. And here we get two motorbikes sort of circling the hunters to sort of keep the Pachys in the one spot. So, yeah, here's confirmation there's more than one motorcycle. One of the hunters is standing there blatantly just pointing his rifle lazily at the Pachy, and then the people standing behind the Pachy, which weapon handling skills, okay. They might not have sourced experienced mercenaries for this. We get Burke gives some more dialogue. See the dome skull, 9 inches of solid bone. Tells the guy behind him to be careful. And also, while they're here, there's a large tree trunk.
Yeah.
Which I was going to ask you while you're there, are the redwood tree trunks still there, or would this have been a bit of set dressing?
Those are there. Those are real tree trunks. This is the fieldwork location, and I only have several photos of this. I'll post them up when this minute goes up.
Okay.
Because the owners of the river don't like visitors. So I don't know how. I think that they probably changed owners since Spielberg filmed it, but I know that the current residents of the ranch do not go for visitors, so don't go there.
Okay.
But yeah, those are original tree stumps, and you can see them in the photos that that my friend managed to get when he went.
Yep. All right.
And he just kind of just poked his camera over the front gate and just took a bunch of pictures. But yeah, you can see that it looks very much still the same.
Okay. All right. And when with the minute Robert Burke raises his hand and makes a gesture with his fist and says, "Now the Pachy," and that's all we get from this minute. So we'll get into that in the following minute. Dave, anything else you want to bring up for minute 35?
No, I think we've heard it all.
All right.
They're leaving. I think they're leaving.
All right, guys. Let's get the hell out of here.
Contact details are on the website, thelostworldminute.com. You can email feedback to thelostworldminute@gmail.com, Facebook, The Lost World Minute, Twitter @thelostworldminute, and Instagram, The Lost World Minute.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy to remember. David, thank you for joining me for this record.
You're welcome.
And we'll be back. I've been Brad.
I'm Dave.
And we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.